Hello and welcome to Salt Talk Sound and Lighting Technology. I'm Julia Sherwin, joined by Stephen Heywood and Jeremy Kloosterman. We're going to talk to you about houses of worship and how they've really pivoted in the last year plus to produce live streams and video productions for their congregants. And I just want to introduce you to Stephen Heywood. He's been in the broadcasting and live streaming industry for 15 years, specializing in Telestream's Wirecast, NewTek TriCaster, Streamlabs, OBS, vmix, and other software and hardware switchers. Stephen is really entrenched in this industry. Jeremy Kloosterman serves in the Ministry of Helps at Anchor Church in Washington, D.C. He's been an associate pastor at a large church in Michigan, leading a ministry for young adults. Jeremy has also worked as a broadcast engineer. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Glad to be here.
Great to be here.
It's great to have you here. And just to tell you a little bit about myself, I work for PTZOptics. I am the public relations manager here. I have a background as a journalist and radio host, so I'm very comfortable in the interviewing seat. I myself am getting up to speed on technologies, literally learning every day from guys like you and our team here at PTZOptics. So, tell me a little bit about what this last year has been like for the two of you helping houses of worship, your congregation specifically.
Go ahead, Jeremy, kick us off.
Yeah, so selling live streaming equipment, software solutions, everything like that. The work side of it, it was a flood. Just nothing could have predicted what we're going to see this past year. For my church personally, we're a mobile church, and we were meeting in a middle school. So immediately in March of 2020. We were kicked out, so we were kind of a homeless church, and we set up everything. I have a large living room at my house. We set up all of our equipment in our living room and started just streaming right out of our house. It was rough, honestly, because with internet connectivity just being spotty. I'm kind of in a rural area in Northern Virginia. Internet's not the best, plus every streaming provider out there just saw a huge uptick in traffic. And so it was really a challenge getting a message out to our congregation and them being able to connect and really engage in the worship service. We got things figured out, and it was good, but still we missed that in-person meeting. So we did transition out to a outdoor space partway through the year last year, which was incredible. So that was kind of the quick pivot to a home studio setup and broadcasting from there, and then outdoor space, which was wonderful. Now we're meeting indoors again and just have a rock solid system. So it was a learning process. Having been in the industry also, similar to Stephen, 12, 15 years, we knew a lot about what equipment to look at and how we wanted to do it. It was just getting there was the challenge with equipment shortages and everything like that. So it's been fun, big learning experience.
Absolutely. And I expected, bandwidth issues was probably one of the biggest problems for houses of worship, for, children trying to do school from home. So tell me, Jeremy, what was it like when you went to that outside space? Were you recording and streaming from there as well?
No, actually, we were streaming everything live. So I had some live view equipment that we were able to use. It worked all right, but even there, the cellular service wasn't the greatest. And that's where, like, the company that I'm at now, I wasn't with them at the time, but it would have been a perfect setup because Resi provides a solution for pre-buffering video or backfilling video. So if you don't have good bandwidth, it's a great solution. So I really wish I had the equipment and access to what I have now, when I was in that outdoor space, because that would have been a huge benefit. But Live View helped us transition in that outdoor space, which was great.
So how about you, Stephen? You were largely working indoors, right?
Yeah, our where we're at, our church is located in Mercer, Pennsylvania, and we were abiding by the mandate of 15 people to the service, and which is a bit difficult when you're used to having 10 people on your team up in the booth, the sound booth in the video room, and running cameras. At unlike Jeremy, we actually had a building, so that was our biggest challenge because we needed camera operators. We needed somebody to run these cameras, and that was when we decided to take a step toward the PTZOptics cameras, because we needed a way to control these cameras with one person. And I think that was the biggest challenge, was how are we going to do something that normally would take 10 people and do it with two, or sometimes even one, or my kids, or something. Especially myself as a assistant pastor, I was also doubling. We did like a round table discussion as opposed to just somebody preaching from the pulpit during that pandemic, just to change it up a little bit. We bring up a topical discussion and go with it. And it was just weird, like, because you're looking out and all you're looking at is kind of like what we are now. It's cameras. You're not seeing a live audience like you're used to. And so I think that was the biggest thing. And like Jeremy alluded to earlier, is equipment. Trying to get a hold of equipment was the other challenge, because you couldn't get it in because the ports were shut down, or if there was a COVID outbreak on the ports, the ships weren't being undocked, and it was Julia, it was a mess.
Right, and that was way before that container ship got stuck in the
Yeah,
Suez Canal.
yeah,
That just added insult to injury. But you're right. I mean, it was very difficult to find even things like a webcam,
yep,
because everyone was at home, and we all kind of know how that story went at this point. But I think the point about having, minimal camera operators is so important, and using things like Xbox controllers and camera control apps and things like that. Tell me a little bit about that process and how you could bring on volunteers, maybe some of whom had very little experience in the space previously.
go ahead, Jeremy.
So we actually did manned cameras. There was a period of time where we had to send our manned camera in for service. So, for the most part, I wasn't moving cameras a whole lot. Where there was a couple transition times in our service that I did have to do very minimal. But again, it was a controlled environment where, like, having a large space like what Stephen had to work with, there's that side of it. So the few times I had access to a PTZ camera that I could program moves and do that. But more for us, it was having a manned camera. And just like Steven, my kids love this space as well. So my kids jump right in. My 14-year-old son, actually now 15, ran camera for me, just because we had limited people even in our home, because we had to think about that size and everything. So, or that amount of people. So yeah, there was some challenge there. I never got into a whole lot of robotic camera movements and different controls that way. But having access to software like Wirecast, where I could, if I needed to, program that PTZ camera, that's huge. It's a huge benefit for churches to be able to do that if they have minimal people running a service.
Well, in your situation, Jeremy, it sounds like you almost created a ministry out of it for the children, because they're learning those tech skills in the process.
Yep. Yeah, it's like my pastor's kids, even, like, they run ProPresenter for us and run a lot of the technical background stuff. So as I'm running sound or the video control, we have a lot of people involved, and so it's a great place for the youth to jump in if they're tech minded and just start learning the industry. And I encourage churches that I talk to all the time. I said, I'm sure you have like 12 to 15-year-olds in the church that would love to love to just be able to be involved and get and help out.
Well, I mean, that's a fantastic way to get young people involved when they start to, I have three children of my own, and, sometimes on a Sunday, you're dragging them to church, and they get to that age where they're starting to like zone out and, not be as interested anymore. So that's a fantastic way to kind of re-engage. The other thing that I find so fascinating about this last year specifically is we talked about social distancing, but we really weren't social distancing. We were physically distancing, but in a lot of ways, we enhanced our social networks, and some houses of worship, even integrated video conferencing as that additional step so that they could create a two-way communication. Would either of you care to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we did a lot of our Bible studies on Wednesdays. We did them online. It was through Zoom. I'm sure, Jeremy, you were kind of doing something similar.
Yep.
But Zoom has been a lifeline for a lot of these churches, not only for Bible studies and extracurricular activities, but it's been for their services. And Julie, I think that my phone hasn't rang as much as it has this past year because everybody was kind of blindsided. They thought that you had to be this big mega church to stream online, and um, these ideas and these social ways of connecting was new to them. And when they started seeing other churches doing Zoom and other platforms like that, I mean, Jeremy, it changed pretty much how you did certain things.
Oh yeah, totally. Like we use the church online platform for our church, and the way my pastor sees it is, he wants a place for the congregation to come and gather together and be able to chat and have more of a safe space. So we use a church online for that. But yet at the same time, he's got a bigger picture mentality where like, hey, let's get the billboards out there and let's reach the community. And so we kind of look at Facebook and YouTube as those more billboard eye-catching, hey, let's get people aware of the church and what's going on. But we know that engagement in social platforms like that are not quite there because you get distracted by a cat video or political discussion or something like that on Facebook, and it just derails. But having that safe place to chat, like Zoom or the church online platform, is huge. And there were some issues even with that. Their servers at Life Church that puts out the church online platform, they saw a huge crash right early on because their servers couldn't handle all the load of churches moving to that system. But yeah, so I started saying that to say like engagement in the church online platform, we had it where we would post at the end of a service a link to a Zoom meeting. Then we'd break out into the Zoom session and kind of, catch up with people, to have that fellowship time, because that's what the church is about. It's not about a building and a space,
Mm-hmm.
but it's about that fellowship and meeting together. And that's what really our people were lacking, and that's what they really were crying out for is, hey, we need that interaction. We need to be able to see face to face and talk. So yeah, we had that, and we've tried Google Meets a couple of times. Didn't work as well. The kids got distracted by the closed captions in that, but just make it fun and engaging. It was kind of a big thing.
Now, are these technologies here to stay? I mean, we're getting back to the real world where the CDC has told us we can take off our masks. People are getting vaccinated, but by and large, there's going to be a flu outbreak or something, and there's always going to be elderly people in your congregations who may need to, be really careful when it comes time to the winter months and things like that. So, will these, technologies stay in place?
You've got two guys here that have been fully remote. Jeremy, I would say you've been fully remote, what, close to 10 years?
Fully remote, no, probably just about 5 or 6
Okay.
years.
Okay.
And but yeah, it's yeah, it's here to stay. I
Yeah.
mean,
I would agree with that. As I've been fully remote for almost 15 years now, with between my other job and this job. I would say that what it has done is has shown employers that productivity can go up
mm,
even though people are at home, because um, they have more freedom in a sense to multitask and get things done, and they're more flexible with their time because they are at home. That they're answering calls after hours, even though they're still home. But I also think the technology, people don't want to be caught off guard like they were before, Julia. I think that churches, even now, I read in a forum the other day, like somebody was saying, well, why is this hard push for live streaming in these churches right now? And folks were in there, chat and stating that, just like you said, Julia, there could be another outbreak where, in the sense of the flu, where rather than getting people all sick, they just say, okay, for the next 2 weeks, just everybody, it's the height of flu season, just work remote, you know, on your own unction if you want to. Um, and maybe there's a lot of elderly in the church, and they just switch to online for a week or two to get past that. I don't see it going anywhere. If anything, it's expedited this whole online live streaming, live video explosion that we're seeing. People have been yelling for years, cut the cable, cut the cable.
mm,
Well, it's really, really been sped up immensely.
Well, it's
yeah.
certainly an enhancement and it's an adaptation that people will expect now. I just thinking back to 5 years ago, I had foot surgery and, I had to hobble into church with crutches and, it was really a mess. I had little kids and, wow, gee, it never occurred to me that I could have, sat down in my living room and put it on YouTube.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, a big thing that we're seeing too is, there was a big push and a big focus for first impressions of churches a couple of years ago,
Hmm.
where what is the user experience, so to speak, of the church? How does it feel as a new person comes in, as churches are trying to do outreach and growth and draw people into the new church? And what we have found in our industry is people are watching, they're tuning into the church, 4, 5, 6 times before they ever enter the door of the church. And so in a lot of discussions that I've had, is the live streaming experience has become that first impression. So if you're just have a single camera and really poor audio quality in that live stream, you're giving a really poor first impression. And why would I want to take time out of my schedule, or go to a church where it doesn't feel engaging and everything like that ahead of time, as I'm doing research and figuring out where I want to go. Why am I going to come through the doors of the church to experience that? And so that's a lot of discussions that I've had with senior pastors, with technical teams, is, hey, this video stream is a huge first impression of what new people are getting of the church. And so it's important then, in that mindset, to do it the best quality possible. Invest in good cameras, invest in good sound, invest in that good equipment, because you may lose the ability to speak into somebody's life or minister to them, or just not even have them come and visit your church. So that's kind of opened up a whole nother discussion, with the community, is, hey, live streaming is it's here to stay, because it's a way for people to do research, figure out where they want to go, and then, like I said, it's that first impression of what is this church about, what do they believe in, um, and where am I going to be a part of the community?
I never thought of it that way, and that's a great point. It's your demo, your resume, your audition to your community,
Yep.
and that's really important.
Yeah. And to that point as well, the good quality equipment. we were streaming in my pastor's backyard for one of the services, and he's got awful internet. So we had there again, we were using some live view equipment, and we had a lightning strike that happened. It was a couple miles away. It was a storm coming in, but it killed all of our connectivity. And it was right, as he was closing out service and giving an invitation for people to come to know Christ. And he was like, oh, that it was such a bummer for him, because that's kind of like the climax of what we're here to do, is give people an opportunity to be a part of the church and everything. And that part was cut out because of a technology failure, honestly. And so it's like, when you're able to invest in the right thing, it helps bring that broadcast through.
Well, lightning in that case is an act of God. So, right?
Yeah.
Out of our control. So, for those who are watching today, say hi in the chat. Tell us where you're from, your house of worship, where you are in the world, in the country. Um, really curious, what you've learned about those who are just starting out with the process, or maybe who just started out during the pandemic. We have these shows. We have a quarterly worship summit live that just aired today for PTZOptics. But where are people getting the information that they need for their houses of worship?
Getting them from guys like us, honestly. And that's not to be, a pat on our back, but honestly, the community has turned to guys in these Facebook forums, these church groups. Jeremy, I'm sure you're in them too, and they're
Yep.
reaching out. And I've done more pro bono work this year than I have ever done in my local school, my government. Been doing all this stuff because this is a time that everybody should pull together.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen, and I'm sure you've seen it too, Jeremy, other companies trying to take advantage of churches in this time, which is not, it's not cool. I'd rather people reach out to me or, one of us to kind of assist where we can. But
Yep.
that's been, I think, along with Jeremy's internet, that's been something that we've seen, but we've also seen the expertise, not having the expertise at their disposal. And that was kind of the reason behind a show like this, right?
Yep.
The people, they just, in a lot of churches, they're small, or they're a church plant. They just don't have the technical advances, Jeremy, that other churches have, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, as we have customers come to us for my company, it's hey, where did you hear about our product? And they're like, oh, some YouTube channel where somebody was talking about it, or something like that. And it's, yeah, those social communities and YouTube channels and blogs and all that, is people who have the knowledge sharing it out there. And that's why we're here, sharing the knowledge that we have, the experience that we have, because Stephen and I have both been doing this for so long. We've seen a lot of advancements and a lot of mess ups, like what not to do, and so there's a
It,
lot that can be learned.
it's like having a great car mechanic, and having someone that you can trust. And it's a shame that you've witnessed that there are um, unreputable groups out there that would take advantage of a house of worship that's, trying to pull together technologies on a shoestring budget many times. So we're sort of setting the stage today for what we're going to be bringing you on a monthly basis. We plan on joining you the last Tuesday of every month at 11 a.m. Eastern. And we're going to interview some industry experts, product reps, and to really talk about, the future of live streaming and video production for houses of worship. So with that being said, do either of you have any, hot items you'd like to talk about that are coming out soon that you're excited about, or anything like that?
Well, I know with Resi, we have a lot of product announcements. We're building out our platform to be to offer all solutions from beginning to end. So, we were really known previously with our previous name as Living as One, with our multi-site solution. So, streaming from one campus to another. We saw kind of a downturn in that with a lot of campuses closing out. and just going virtual. But we have that multi-site solution. We have our web streaming solution, and now we're just rolling out our video on demand platform. So, giving you the ability to archive all of your messages right in our cloud for long-term storage and for podcasting and everything. So there's a lot of features coming out that way. But also some of the new technologies. I've been watching Ross Video and some of the product releases that they're coming out with their video switchers, controlling PTZ cameras and controlling other cameras like that. Just really the ease of workflow and all of that. But there's a lot, I think. Forcing people to work from home and have this different thinking has created a lot of new thought processes. Why are we doing what we're doing? How can we do it more efficiently and better? So I'm excited to see what comes out in this next couple months with the video technology.
And speaking of working efficiently, I'm glad he said that, because one of the things that I want to bring up has been kind of a game changer in my workflow. Besides NDI, NDI is huge. If you're not using NDI, you need to go out and check it out and try the different applications. But also let us know what you want us to talk about, maybe give a demonstration of. Leave comments below to let us know what you'd like to see. We're both pretty proficient in a lot of different softwares. If you're not sure, like Pro Presenter or Easy Worship, things like that. But I got to give kudos out to the team over at PTZOptics as well, because the SuperJoy, this has been a game changer. And a lot of people say, okay, how does a joystick become a game changer? This joystick having the HDMI out, I think this is a missing feature that people you just don't catch when they look at this joystick. Having the ability to output the joystick's camera feeds to a TV screen or any kind of screen for that matter, and adjust cameras without needing to see the switcher's interface is tremendous. If you haven't checked it out, talk to any resellers or contact the folks over PTZOptics here so that you can get a demo. Having the ability, I take this with me on the road even as well, to be able to set up multiple camera groups. So I have a camera group 1 for my studio. I literally unplug it. It's PoE. I can do group 2, which is my mobile rig with 4 PTZ camera setups. I could take that on the road, be up and running in seconds with all the cameras that I have. Having that ability, where other joysticks, it's tough to do stuff like that in a pinch. I could just, rather than buying 2 joysticks, just take this, plug it in. So for me, that coupled with NDI is technology everybody needs to be watching, because changes are coming. It's coming, especially, and I think the pandemic has opened up new avenues of the folks over at NewTek to really, get creative with how things are going to come. I'm expecting big things from NewTek in the NDI field, coming up here. So Julie, that's my 2 cents on the matter.
Yeah, and the 3 words that I really lodged on that Jeremy said are ease of workflow, and
Yes.
that's really what everyone is looking for. Whether you're a newbie or you're an experienced person, you need it to be simplified. We're
Yep.
all busy. We need to get it as accomplished in as minimal amount of steps as possible, right?
Yep.
And I think working along a network, NDI, as you mentioned, Stephen, really cutting edge technologies that everyone's looking for, as well as some of the cellular bonding technology that Jeremy alluded to with live view and things like that. So this has been great. I really look forward to continuing to have these conversations in the months to come. And reach out to us, send us a note in the chat below, and give us some show topic ideas that you're interested in.